Okay, what we're going to be doing today, we have a Gen 2 R8 coming in for Soul Performance exhaust and some BMC filters. On part of the filter install, you have to take the intakes out to get to the exhaust anyway, so that'll be super easy to drop in. We're going to do how-to on that. This trim's got to come off, all of this has got to come up, and the rear bumper's got to come off to get to the exhaust. So as we go throughout the day, we will show you guys how we get that done. I'll start by pulling the wheels off and pulling the fender liners, and then we'll tape off these seams so no scratches, and we'll go from there. All right, to get the fender liners out, you're gonna need a 10mm and a T25 Torx to start with. We're gonna pull the entire liner out. We'll go and do the same on the other side, and also the undershield as well. And then we will prepare to start taking the bumper off. All right. You'll also need a T30 as well for the top part of the wheel arch. Next up, now that the fender liners are out of the way, I'm going to raise the vehicle all the way up. I'm going to take off the undershields, and we'll bring it back down and tape it off and getting ready to start removing the bumper. So part of, if you're going to do this, you have to take off all the heat shield as well. So if you'll look in here, all of these screws up around the edges, they're T25s. We'll pull them out and on both sides, and then we can start taking some of the bumper trim off. So this is your first shield that's going to come off on the driver's side, and if you look behind me, you can see the exhaust, so we'll gain access to that. As we move forward and do the other side and then pull the bumper, we'll have to pull the main shields as well, and they'll come off with that massive suitcase of a muffler back here. All right, I've taken a couple of screws out already, but I just wanted to kind of give a rundown on these. As you're pulling these shields, there are 7 T25 Torx bolts, and then there is 1 T30. So the T30's here next to the body. The other 7, you'll have 1 up in this corner, 1 on top, 1 on the side. You'll have to use a small low profile ratchet to get to. You can pick these up about anywhere pretty cheap. 1 here, and 2 on the bottom. All right, and then that comes out. Now I'm going to start taping off the body of the car at all the seams and protect the paint from getting any kind of scratches, and get ready to start removing all the trim. I'm going to start taking the ones out of this side trim. So here, and here, they are T30s. We'll have to do that on both sides as well. Basically what we're going to end up doing is removing all of this trim around the edges and this brace, the trim you see here covering the oil fill cap and the air box, and then this air box and these boots will come loose so that we can access the V-bands down below for the exhaust. So this is hidden in the upper pockets. They're kind of hard to see, but they have 5mm Allen bolts in the top 3 instead of the T30s. All right, so next we're going to pull this rear trim. There's a few Torx bolts underneath it. If you can go right between the hex pattern here. There's 1 in the middle. There's a couple out here. Then we're going to pull the air boxes off. There's a worm gear clamp for the boot on this side and on this side, and then we'll have to pull some off on the sides out here. It's kind of hard to see on camera. but the entire air box is going to come out of the way by the time we're done. And once I get that out, I'll show you a close-up, and then we can go over that. All right, so I'm starting with the worm gears to our air boxes. Get those loosened up so the boots will come out of the way. You can do this with either a flat blade screwdriver or a 6mm socket. They're not very tight, so I use the screwdriver. I'm just gonna leave these laying on the intakes. Just pull them out off the boxes just to give me some extra room, but I don't need to take them all the way out of the car. All right, so for the next part, I'm going to remove this trim. They are done with T30s. The two out on the sides are pretty easy to get to. You have one in this corner, one in this corner. Any kind of standard ratchet set can reach those really easy. The one in the middle is right here directly behind the oil fill cap. It's hard to get to, so again, I'm going to use the low profile ratchet that we have and get in underneath to get to that, to get that out. All right, so once you get the 3 T30s out of the way that I mentioned, this piece is just held in by grommets and it comes all out in one unit. If you'll grab here first, you can kind of get your hand underneath it and pull gently and slowly, and it'll pop out of the grommet. We'll repeat the process on the same thing for the other side. All right, once you get that out of the way, depending on how much slack you have, you will see this wire. I think the ones with the fixed wings are a little different, so I'm not entirely sure. But if you just pull this across, when it's still connected, you can slide this loom out of the way, and you'll see this green tab here. You just simply push it and it unlocks, and you can pull that out of the way. Okay, now that that trim piece is out of the way, I can access these other T30 screws that are up top for the top of the bumper, here, 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 and here. And then we will start working around the rest of the back of the car. I'm gonna grab another fender stand. I'm trying to keep all the painted pieces protected as best as possible and out of the way. So I will grab another folding table like this. I'll set it to the side and we can lay the bumper on that. Hello. Okay, to get this seam loose on the back side of the bumper, the process is the same for both sides. You have 2 T25s right here. The top ones are all T25s as well. You have one here, and then behind this shield, you have a matching one to this at the very back corner. If you have anything, doesn't have to be electric, this helps a lot. You can reach it behind this shield and get to the back one pretty easy. Then you should be able to just grab that and gently work that outward. Next up, if you didn't grab these when you're taking off the under shield, you have 2 T30s at the center of the diffuser. License plate has to come off for part of the bumper removal. It is hidden behind the aluminum. Okay, perfect. All right, if you'll come with me. So I need to make a correction. Earlier I mentioned the 2 screws here. The T25s, there's a third one down at the bottom that I overlooked. So make sure you pull that as well.